everybody. Welcome to Keeping Up with the Nerds. Today we're going to be going over the past year, 2021. Woo! It was an amazing year. There was a lot to talk about. Let's get into it. Bryan, hit that music. Let's go. From 12920 Philadelphia Street, Whittier, California, in the heart of Uptown Whittier, Keeping Up with the Nerds presents issue 79. My name is Nick Valero.
This is Bryan.
Rene.
And welcome to the show.
Woo!
Yay.
Issue 79 on an early Saturday morning, back cataloging issues.
That's why you see us all with coffee.
Nick with his makeshift mohawkish looking hair. Us with all of us have venties. What the heck?
I know. Well, Nick got me a venti.
In all fairness,
yeah.
Well, because
Thank you again.
Well, no, because there was a deal for the stars thing.
Uh-huh.
If I got if I got 2 coffees, I got 30 stars, and I was like,
well,
how do I convince?
I'm not gonna argue more coffees.
no, I was like, oh yeah, just upgrade it, just upgrade it. And then it went like, oh, you get 30 more stars. I'm like, yes.
Tell me again. Tell me in that voice.
Yes.
Excellent.
I don't know why every time you say that, it sounds like a Siri voice. It's like, yes.
It's like you're kind of like holding back, but you're like trying to let it out at the same time.
Trying to hold what back?
Tell your Google,
your feelings.
What is it? Your assistant, your smart assistant. It's like, hey, please go ahead and play us some mellow lo-fi music.
Yes. And that's that.
And that's the only time you can let something out. And you're just like, yes.
No, you know what that reminds me of? You ever seen Grandma's Boy?
Yeah.
It sounds like when he goes into the robot voice.
Yeah.
He's like, yes,
Yeah.
I love you.
There's
Please
a bit
sit
of
on my face.
That was a bit of inspiration.
Was that an
Yeah, it was
inspiration?
a
Okay.
little bit of inspiration from that.
So I was right. Okay, because immediately I was like, that's kind of sounds like a robot.
he's like tensed up.
Yeah, he's all tensed up.
Hey,
He's like,
assistant, tell me yes one more time. No.
no, I'm calling the police. This is weird.
Back to our OG jokes.
Keep your hands off my USB port.
Oh, man.
Bro, I thought this was a USB Type C, man. Why is the hole larger now? That's where Nick draws the line. He's just like,
I'm
no.
dead. Okay, let's move on.
It's larger and why is it sticky? Never a question you should ask yourself. Why
Just
am I
don't.
sticky?
If anything, just don't.
It's the question Bryan asked himself after Spider-Man. Why am I sticky?
What? No. What do you mean? We just established last issue that I wasn't speechless for like a good solid half hour.
Yeah, because you were sticky. I'd be speechless too if I was so
you
sticky.
you could say I wasn't web blocked.
Hey. So I'm assuming the webs don't come out of your wrists. Unlike Tobey Maguire, yours don't come out of your
it was
wrists.
a tiny detail. I know we're talking about our year-end review, but tiny little detail on Spider-Man. It's I noticed it when they were asking Toby if his webs only came out on his like wrist. Yeah. He did this motion with his hand where he was kind of like touching his chest, and I'm like, are you alluding that you milk web milk?
I gotta fight Doc Ock later. Yeah. Hold on.
When he comes back home
right,
and like he's sitting in bed with Mary Jane. What are you doing? I'm just making sure I have enough web flip for tomorrow.
I don't know how long I'm gonna be out, babe.
Can you pass me the shea butter?
Is that Mary Jane and Peter's kink? She has to rub his arms and milk his webs.
Yeah.
Sometimes when he goes on break, she has to get it out.
Yeah.
Are we done talking about
web
blocking?
web milking?
Web milking. So there's a lot to talk about. Yeah, we are back cataloging. So this technically would be like 2 years in the past, or 2 weeks in the past, right? This issue supposedly releases out right before New Year's.
Yeah.
And we're going to be taking the next 2 weeks off. Yes. We're going to be taking the next 2 weeks off just to enjoy time with family.
Yeah.
You know, the Christmas, the New Year's holiday, because they both land on a weekend, surprisingly.
This year, they both land on a Saturday.
Yeah. So it doesn't make any sense to come into the, you know.
Wait, Christmas lands on a Wednesday.
No.
Wait, when's Christmas?
Christmas
Saturday.
Eve is on a Friday and Christmas Day is on a Saturday.
Yeah.
What?
Check your calendar, boy. And New Year's Day lands on a
Same
Sunday.
day. No, same day. Saturday.
Saturday?
Yeah, it's always Christmas and New Year's are always the same day in the coming up 2 weeks, in that 2 weeks span.
They would just spoil Nick's like plans for the future.
Yeah, you did.
Dang
I did not realize that was Sunday.
I planned
It was
my
a
vacation.
Saturday.
Did not realize that.
Oh, you're welcome. I
was
just
making
saved
plans
you.
with people, and I was like, and they were like, "Want to hang out Wednesday?" And I'm like, "You mean the 26th? Like that's weird." I was like, "Why would you want to hang out on Christmas, dude?" They were like, "We can hang out Sunday if you really want." I'm like, "Yeah, Sunday works. I mean, it's after Christmas." And they were just like, "Okay." Like, I don't think you know what days are.
Clearly, you don't.
I don't think you know what days are.
So yeah, we are back cataloging just to kind of give you guys the content on a weekly basis and not stop. But starting 2022, we're going to be kickstarting the newer issues.
Yes.
With newer content, up to the date stuff. We'll be talking about the future in the next issue for next week. So that's going to be something to look forward to. But for now, we're going to be talking about our the last year. Because last year we relaunched Keeping Up with the Nerds as year one. It was kind of like a reformatting, you know, new ideas. Nick officially was like with us. We got the website. So there's a lot of growth, and I think it's a good time to just basically talk about everything that we've done so far, what we were proud of, what I think we could do, what we think we could do better, probably our favorite moments as well over the last year. So anyone want to start with like how they feel we've been growing?
Shit.
It's been god awful.
God.
I have to deal with these guys.
Give up my Friday nights.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Children.
No, I'm gonna say this. I guess I'll start. I think as a brand we now have actual like goals in mind and you know an idea of what we want to accomplish. If like I said before, if it wasn't for example, like if it wasn't for Nick, I don't think we would have I don't think we would have had the website.
That's the thing. I think I'm on the same boat when it comes to what things I'm proud of. I'm proud we brought in Nick because he honestly helped us grow bigger as a brand and showed us what more we can do.
Yeah, exactly. Because if it wasn't for the website, I don't think we would have had that professional look that we have right now. I don't think, you and I would even consider being...
No, we still probably be doing the same thing where it's just we just focus on Instagram and maybe Facebook. We probably would have a Facebook page.
It's just content.
It's just,
Yeah. So having that professional site now, I think gave us more of like a broader outlook on what we can do as producers of, of this brand, not just podcasting. We've actually grown in, written things, directed things. We've done skits. We kind of strayed away from the video format that, we see a lot in YouTube because we know it doesn't sell. So how do we become unique in our own ways?
Right.
And having that website, I think, inspired us to move forward in a different direction because we started off with a pretty simple website. I'll say that, the concept was just kind of there. And then all of a sudden, I got hit with a moment of inspiration. I said, you know what? Let's go ahead and, change it up a bit.
Yeah.
And with that, thanks to Lewis and the logo that he made for us, we now have colors, which Nick keeps pointing out. It's like, that's not our colors. Those aren't our colors. It's like, well, what are our colors? Well, it's black and white, right? And I'm like,
No,
or black and yellow.
Yeah, it's not black and yellow.
It technically is.
No, it's green and yellow. If you look at the concept, right?
Is it blue? It's not. There's no green. You don't have your phone.
So
Your phone's right there.
No, I need to look at our logo again. But yeah, we do have colors.
Yeah.
We have colors that keep popping out and we keep using and stuff. And we're like, so yeah, we do have we have colors.
We have official colors, which is so weird. I think we were talking about it a couple weeks ago, where it's like, oh yeah, companies like trademark their colors, or was it Lewis? Lewis is the one that mentioned it. It's like you can't use certain colors and stuff because it like infringes on copyrights from certain brands and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool to think that we have like official stuff to go with now, which is really cool.
Yeah.
Which also gives us an avenue of like these are the specific, like if we wanted to ever do things like merchandise, we know exactly what colors to like go down
with,
and stuff like that at first, so that way we can start modifying it, and that's gonna be kind of cool. I can't wait to kind of see how that works out. Yeah, man, it's been an interesting year. It's been an interesting, because last year you guys collaborated a bit, but you guys didn't collaborate as much as this year. There was a lot of crossover with a lot of other people.
Oh yeah.
There was a month. The month full of guests was the most fun. Honestly,
I feel like that was also the most work.
That was the most work because it was just a lot of organizing. Granted, planning. Yeah. A lot of coordinating with everyone, and honestly, if it wasn't for the amazing guests and the way they set up their schedules, I don't think we would have had as much success as we would have this month, because everything was consistent. Everything came out on time. The skits, by the time this issue's out, should be almost all the way out,
right?
Because everything that's back catalog should be releasing by the end of this year. And that's a guarantee. I
promise you guys.
That's a Bryan guarantee. That's a Bryan guarantee. That's Bryan.
But that means nothing.
It means absolutely nothing. But it'll be January 3rd, and Bryan's like, "Oh, and this is a thing we released 5 months ago. We recorded this in June."
I still have the fight sequence.
I know you did.
I know. I think at some point, just upload those sequences.
Oh no, I am. That's a fun one. That still works.
And then the one where we did like a long skit with Rene and Nick and stuff, where he made up a was it you made up a takoyaki? He said.
Oh yeah, that one never released.
That one didn't. That one's a good one too.
Yeah,
I think that was an ad that we were supposed to do.
It was supposed to be an ad. It was like my first week working. It was supposed to be my first week on the job.
Yeah. A job you don't get paid for.
Yeah, it was supposed to be my first week at the job, and then just fumbling with things.
I think one thing I would have to mention that I'm also proud of is that we have been consistent of uploading. We haven't missed a day, you know. So
no. There's no need to knock on wood, because honestly, like we've been, if anything, consistent, and we've made it work. It's 3 people. I think it would have been more difficult if it was just you and I, Rene, because that would mean that we'd have to be, responsible for our own stuff, like 100%. Because, there's moments where Nick goes on vacation, or you even went on vacation.
I went on, in July, I went on my Utah trip, my yearly Utah trip with my friends.
Yeah. And, having the 3 of us, one of us leaves, we can always bring in someone like Andy or Mandy who have, graced us with their presence for a couple issues, which we're really thankful for. Yes. Or it could just be, 2 nerds instead of 3. And that episode, or that issue, can only run for like maybe an hour and a half, but it's still something. And it releases on Wednesdays at 11:30 every single week, which is great.
Yeah, even, because sometimes you have to work, and there are some...
Like DC fandom.
Yeah, like DC fandom, where it was like, man, we need to post this like right now.
Yeah.
Like we need to like get online, we need to record this, and we need to do it as fast as possible. Yeah. Because if not, the wave is gonna pass, and all this information is gonna be useless. And yeah, and it made things really easy, where it was just like, okay, cool, we're gonna sit down, we're just gonna talk about it, and then when Rene frees up, we can get his take as soon as he's free. So that really did kind of open our avenues and stuff like that.
Oh,
so
definitely.
That's been really helpful.
The consistency is probably one of the coolest things I think that I'm also proud of as well. It's showing responsibility and showing that drive to keep going, because I think I've mentioned this in last year's podcast as well, where a lot of content creators tend to kind of fall off after a year. And they don't, like, they see analytics and they just give up, because it's like, well, I'm not getting any momentum, so like, why quit? Or why keep going, right? And they quit. No, like, we've been persistent with it, and there's been tough times, honestly. Like, we've lost subs. We're at 88 as of recording right now. We're at 88, meaning we've been gaining 1 subscriber at least every day, which is cool. And granted, it's only 88, and we're gonna look back on this like later on and be like, oh, well, look at us then.
That's fine.
Yeah, which is good. But yeah, no, we're at 88 subs.
Yeah, but to grab a sub every day is actually not bad.
It's not.
And not only that, but also if you look at the amount of, because I think it was like at 88, and then when you looked at people that were actually watching the video, I think it was like near like 280 or like 260 or something like that.
Like people, their analytics are showing. I think the thing that I was mentioning last night when we were recording Itchy 78 was that our analytics are kind of showing a good trend because they're now getting recommended by like bigger videos.
Yeah.
Which means that we're like being seen. It's just a matter of like grabbing people's attention with like certain videos.
Yeah.
Our certain formats and stuff. But that isn't to say that we should be losing our way. I think what we're doing now and being happy with what we're doing now is most important, because if we're proud of the content that we're releasing, then we're doing what we're supposed to do. We're doing our job. We shouldn't be changing dramatically just to fit a mold, because then it doesn't become fun. You know, it just becomes copy, paste, clickbait.
Well, not only that, but also I feel like when you're just trying to copy somebody, or you're trying to copy another channel or something like that, that's when people don't feel the authenticity of it.
Exactly.
Immediately they're just like, oh, well, they're just kind of like they're like schmoes, or they're like so and so, whatever. I'd rather go watch the original instead of these guys. You know, they're just like they're a copycat.
Yeah.
Everything else, I would much rather make independent content or original content, make it fun for us, and also try and see if we can make it fun for an audience.
Yeah.
And everything else, and I think, and so far we've been doing that. We've been doing a pretty good job at it.
Yeah,
I really like the skits. I think the skits have been.
Was that your favorite part?
I think the skits have been my favorite part, because that is something in every podcast I think I've ever been a part of. Has always been like the thing that I was always pushing the most. Is like, we need to do more skits. We need to do more of this. We need to do those, and it's because skits are fun, but also, with the skits and the ideas and stuff like that, people get to see your personality, because then they get to see what you think is funny. You know, this is the skit. This is what we thought was funny at the time. You know, and everything else, and it really does show a lot of if anything, it shows more personality, because it sees how your creative brain works than the podcasts do. Because the podcast, you're trying to feed off each other. You know, whatever somebody else says, I'm trying to bounce off of you. But for that one, it's like, okay, cool, this is what we sat in a room and we wrote this. Yeah. Or Bryan sat in a room and he wrote it.
More accurately, Bryan wrote it.
Bryan sat in a room, he wrote it, and then he gave it to us, and then within 5 minutes I changed like a bunch of stuff.
He's like, I don't like this line, let's rewrite it because it doesn't fit what I would normally say. That's not how I would say that line. All right, fine.
Say it like that.
Yeah. Bryan usually spends a weekend trying to write our skits.
No, I spend like 20 minutes at work sometimes.
So he spends 20 minutes at work doing these skits.
Expose yourself.
There's moments there's moments of inspiration. You got to write down stuff, you know?
Yeah. I know, but it's just really funny. As soon as you give it to me, and you're like, have you read it? And I'm like, no. Give me like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Give me like 5 minutes, and I'll read it as I drink my coffee.
I mean, I love doing this skit, but it was the one when we had to do a CC, and it was that one line that I just hated saying because it was just so...
Do you remember what it was?
It was too much. Oh, it was like something...
It was a mouthful, wasn't it?
It was a mouthful. I think it was because when I was talking to you, and it was like, it was a lot to remember. Oh. And I tried to say it as close as I can, but I wasn't hitting it.
I think it was like verbal, because the words were like verbal gymnastics.
Yeah.
Was,
which is nothing. It was me. That's the thing. It was me trying to remember that, because the line you wrote was great. I just couldn't remember it.
So that's the thing.
Then we had to dumb it down.
Yeah.
We're like, oh, this is great, but Rene's not getting it.
I can't deliver this, man.
So that's the thing. So like, I'll jump on board and say, like, because the skits are probably one of the best aspects that we've had this year, and we recently developed that. I don't think that's something that, you know, has been kind of building up.
We did a lot
over the last year.
Yeah.
This, like, probably the last third of this year has been skit forward. That's what we've been doing.
It's been skit heavy.
It's been skit heavy. So for me, I think my, you know, favorite thing about this year, about Keeping Up with the Nerds, has been being able to direct and write those skits, because, you know, it's a skill set I thought I wouldn't have, and I feel like a lot of us doing what we're doing now, it's a lot of trial and error, you know.
It is.
And as a writer, there's a lot of influences that I kind of look at to kind of push my writing forward. So, you know, I constantly mention, you know, SNL has always been a big part of my life ever since I've been a kid. And so when I look at not recent SNL, I feel like recent SNL is kind of like, there's some good skits here and there.
There's some bad ones, there's some good ones.
And there's some really bad ones. But that kind of writing style where it's like just exaggerated. They're trying. Yeah. It's very exaggerated, very like you know, like current events, and they're just kind of really poking fun at it. Like, that's kind of an inspiration. Tina Fey and Amy Poehler's kind of like method of joking has always been like a big inspiration for me as well. So when I look at the skits and the way that I'm writing certain things, sometimes I get so lost in how I want to build a character that I forget that you guys also have personalities and you guys need to build your guys' selves around these people. Or I need to build these people around you guys is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, but I'm okay because I mean I've always done skits with like a bullet point of like an outline of okay, like hey, we're gonna do this skit because like Lewis mentioned it when we were what was it when he was here, because he had said something, I don't know if you guys heard him, where he was like, I feel like I'm back in high school, because for some reason a lot of our teachers would always do skits, like
because they're fun.
Yeah, skits are fun. They would Spanish class or what was it, like a couple of the texts that we were in, they made us do skits, and instead of doing like instead of writing like a 10-page paper, you guys have to do a 10-minute video or a 10-minute skit that's all in Spanish. Or like we had to like do, or for like our financial class, we had to do like a marketing skit where it was like, we have to explain this marketing system, and that was always really cool. But the thing is that you would then put people in like a group of 5, and then they would have to come up with a skit and how exactly to do it. And when he was here, he was like, bro, I feel like we're doing that again. Because it's a lot of like, we have a plan, we're doing this and everything else. And then it's like somebody gets an idea and then that bounces off somebody else's idea and they go like, oh yeah, I like that. Well, what about if I did this when you did that? And then that just turns into something comical. Because I remember whenever we would do them, we would try to make everybody laugh in the classroom. Like if we could be the funniest video, that was kind of like the win. Like we would all, because no matter what, you turned in a video, you were getting credit for it. You were getting an A. So, like, the teacher's not going to go, like, your Spanish wasn't good enough. Like, that's not, like, it's Spanish.
That's not
they just want the project. They just
want the people's vote.
They want to see the project done.
Yeah, they just want to see the project done, and they want to show that you did it. So, but the real reward was when you were in the classroom, and then people would watch it, and then you would get a lot of laughs because your skit killed. Like, you were just like, oh, yeah, that was a really funny joke when we were there. Like, I'm really glad that it worked.
Yeah.
And everything else. And that was always really fun. So doing the skits and kind of bringing them in together and then bringing it in with everybody, with Sarah, Cece, Lewis, Steven, everybody, they all brought their own different skills to the table, and they also brought their own different ideas. That's why I feel like all their skits are different. They're all very different.
Definitely.
Like, they're not all like kind of like one note. It's very much like, oh yeah, like Cece had an idea here, Sarah had an idea over here. Oh, Lewis was like just, I mean, we could have dumped barbecue sauce on Lewis. He didn't care.
And Steven has had a good time.
No, it's like writing is one thing, directing is another. And having you guys give me that ability to direct these skits and like trusting me with that kind of ability is awesome, because I wouldn't have thought to, be able to direct something. And I was gonna
say, it's just something I think that we trusted you.
Yeah.
And it wasn't even something that had to be said. It was just you took on, because you're the one that's recording. You're the one that's, manning the camera the whole time, and you have a way of what you want to see on the video, because you're at the end of the day you're editing it.
Yeah.
And it's something that I think me and Nick was like, oh yeah, let's just let Bryan do it.
Well, I mean, he's the one that has to edit it. So
that's what I'm saying.
That only makes
it was
sense.
something that just fell on you, and then it's something that we didn't even question, obviously.
Yeah.
No, and I appreciate it because it's such a fun thing to do. Nick put it best when he was saying that every skit was different because they all kind of put in their own taste and fling to it when we had our guests on. Yeah. But what makes it great is like you get to see how, as a director, you get to like work with different people and how it opens up different people. One of the best examples were our first 2 guests. Like, Steven and Lewis, they came in and they were pumped and ready to talk about, but that's because they both like knew you guys strongly and wanted to be a part of this like tremendously. And it's not to say that Sarah and Cece weren't, but like when they first came in, they were kind of like, like there was a little bit of nervousness. There was a little bit of kind
Lewis
of like,
and Steven were very comfortable behind the camera.
Yeah, they were. It's because they've done that kind of work before, and Cece's a streamer, so she is comfortable behind it. But I don't think she's been in plenty of podcasts. And Sarah, I think this was her first appearance, first big appearance on a podcast. Or
because she has an Instagram. Yeah, and she posts what she cosplays and stuff like that.
Yeah, Instagram and stuff like that. But yeah,
and as producers of this podcast, we all have to have that responsibility of bringing in our guests and making sure that they're comfortable and able to, be themselves and not force something out of it, which we all did. And as a director of, getting the skits done and all that other stuff.
Yeah.
Seeing them be nervous and then that nervousness dissolve as they start doing more of the acting, it was awesome to see.
I just thought it was funny because I was reading the skit. I was reading the skit that you had for Lewis, and I remember reading it, going through everything, and we'll finish up right now. What was it? I remember reading the skit, and I thought it was so funny because we went through the whole thing, and at the very end, there's a joke where we make fun of Lewis. And I was reading it, and I go, that is hilarious, because that is exactly what I would have written. And I don't know how Lewis is going to take that.
Oh, yeah.
Because that is, because we are kind of offending him. And
I was reading it, I was like, how's that going to play out?
Lewis is cool. I don't know if he's going to, he'll probably be okay with it, but I think I just want to
Was it the shut up Lewis thing?
Yeah. It was that, and then all of a sudden, and I thought it was so funny, because he's reading it, and then he gets to that part, and he just starts dying laughing. And he's like, oh, that's funny. And then, halfway through it, we both did it, and then he was like, and I love his response of, he was like, oh, why am I walking away and not responding to both of you insulting me? And he was like, oh, I don't even know him. Why would I take that? And I'm like, you're right, you wouldn't. Yeah. He was like, yeah, I know you. I expect that from you.
That's great.
No, it's that kind of little fling that they throw our way that makes it so much more unique.
Definitely.
Before we wrap it up with Renee's, best of moments here, give us a good one, Renee. Give us a good one.
I don't know. That's the thing, is that I'm glad of the content we've produced. I think the best thing is that, honestly, because we did it so recently, was the skits, honestly.
The skits is the thing.
The skits are the best thing, because, again, I think we've noticed that people, when they don't know about us and we pop up, they
touch the skits first.
They see the skits first because they're shorter. They're like less than 5 minutes, 6 minutes, or something like that, and then that's what gets us out there more. Yeah, and I'm glad we're doing more of those.
Well, because based off of the algorithm, it spots just for behind the curtain.
Yeah.
The reason why skits are so short, or we don't like to do the skits really really long, is because the algorithm will promote it more. Because the algorithm for videos that are less than 5 minutes on YouTube will push those forward, whereas an hour and a half long video, it doesn't.
Yeah.
So the skits get promoted more, and then the skits then go, oh, these guys are funny. I want to hear what other skits do they do? And then once they click our thing, it's like, oh, they're a podcast. I thought they were just like a skit group or anything else. What was it? I didn't know that they were a podcast. And then it brings you to the channel, and it brings you to the website, and it brings you to everything else. It's a nice little bait. It's bait.
Right.
It's very reassuring how much support we've gotten with our skits as well, because with the comments that we've seen people comment on your guys' acting, how you guys bring certain characters out. And the funny thing is, and Andy mentions this a lot, where when it was just the two of us, you, Rene, were very held back, and you're just like, oh, I don't know how to act in front of a camera. You're very nervous.
Yeah.
And now she's like, oh, no, he's way more comfortable in front of the camera. He's super, into it. He sells the certain characters that he's written and stuff. Nick is the same way. I feel like, he was just kind of like, oh, well, I'm just going to act like I'm my normal self and whatnot. And then now you went from being your normal self on camera to being a ×2 version of yourself, but very flexible.
Like a character of yourself.
A caricature.
That's what makes these, I think, we're all in agreement. The skits are probably the best thing.
Yeah.
This is the last note before we wrap it up. The skits are the best thing because it brought us to a different point. We've evolved into, now not just producers of podcasts, but, content creators that are going to be writing, acting, producing content that's going to be more uniquely driven to us than kind of force fed. Because we were making those the videos that we're talking about, certain episodes of WandaVision, all that stuff. Yeah. And those are fun because we could joke around here and there. But at the end of the day, that's just showing our nerdy side of us. This is now showing the writing and directing, the acting, and how we get to adapt to certain things. So We'll talk about more of like what we're going to be expecting in the future in the next issue. But yeah, I think that looking back at it, the skits were probably
the best part.
The best part.
Yeah. Right. Universally liked that we've done.
Yeah. The podcasts are fun too. They're great. There's some great moments in there. There's like plenty of issues. There's like what 20 plus. There's 28 plus issues out now. Ever since year 1 launched.
Yeah, my buddy went on our he went on our Instagram and he went on a TikTok, and he goes, by far our funniest the funniest TikTok we have is apparently the I'm gonna fight you naked.
Yeah, I recently checked back on that. We got over 1,500 views on that.
Yeah, it's a funny bit.
It's so funny because I didn't when I said it, I didn't think it was gonna be as funny as it plays. Yeah, because I went back and because apparently my buddy had to pull over. Because he wasn't expecting it. Like, he was driving, and I guess he, like... because like, he was driving, and I guess, like, he was flipping through the TikToks. Yeah. And then he went in... he started driving, and I guess he wasn't paying attention, so the audio in his car started going off, and he flicked it, he put his phone down, and then all he hears is... I'm gonna find him naked. And then he was just like, what the hell? Like, what's going on? And then like it went into the whole bit, and he was like, dude, I had to pull over. Like, I really did have to pull over because I started dying laughing. Because for one, that's not what I was expecting to hear. I didn't expect to hear your voice coming out of my car saying, I'm gonna fight you naked. I'm gonna fight you naked.
They're just describing how they would do it.
Yeah. We there's a lot of bits in the podcast that we have to pull from, and I'm hoping to do it soon because it's 30 is manageable, but if we get to 50, that's gonna be a headache. Going back, that's 50 hours or 100 hours of content that I have to like scavenge through to pull out bits and stuff. So I'll be working. Yeah, we need an intern.
We need an intern.
Maybe, but I think with that we should probably move on to our future endeavors and goals for this brand because that's going to be something to look forward to. Right. And that issue is going to be, if you're listening to this on release, that issue is going to be coming out. Oh my God. Issue's going to be coming out next week. It's not going to be issue number 80 because we want to kickstart number 80 in 2022. So it's going to be our 2021 or 2022 annual.
Yeah.
Right.
Final annual of the year. Yeah.
Or first annual of the year.
It's the first annual. Oh, because it gets released on January.
On January, 5th or something like that. So it'll be our 2022 annual. And it's going to be your future goals and endeavors and what you guys can expect from Keeping Up with the Nerds within the new year because our year anniversary is actually going to be coming up in 6 months-ish.
Dang.
Yeah, so we'll be kickstarting year 2, technically like our third year, but year 2. But with that said, if you guys are listening to us on our audio platforms, find us on YouTube as well at Keeping Up with the Nerds. Audio platforms include Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Podbean. Listen to us on Apple Podcasts. Leave a review, guys. If you guys like what you guys heard here, let us know in those reviews because we'll be checking them out as well. YouTube, comment down below. Let us know what you guys think, what you guys want to see, or what you guys mostly enjoyed from us over the last year if you guys have been listening to us consistently. Follow us on our socials, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Keeping Up With The Nerds, and on our website at keepingupwiththenerds.com for all the up-to-date information on when things get released. And if you guys want to learn more about us, if you guys are new here, welcome. We appreciate you guys' listening. YouTube, subscribe, and hit that bell as well. I keep forgetting to do that. That's an actual thing I got to remember to do. But yeah, guys, thank you so much for everything, all the support that you guys have given us this year. And I think the only thing we can do is promise that 2022 will be a bigger, better year for all of us in terms of what we're going to be doing here, Keeping Up with the Nerds. And if this growth has shown us anything, it's that 2022 is only going to make us a lot better. Yeah. So ready to kick off the annual issue after this one?
Yeah.
Let's do it. Nick, go ahead and wrap it up.
This has been Keeping Up with the Nerds, issue 79. My name is Nick. Hello.
This is Bryan.
Rene.
Recording at Undercity Comics in Whittier, California. We want to thank everyone for listening. See you all next time.